Hey everybody, thanks so much for joining me for today's VAI Presents Coffee Talk. Today we're going to talk about simplifying compliance. There's just so many aspects of compliance to manage that it's really daunting and overwhelming. Um, if you are a compliance manager, you're probably wondering where I got this picture of you. So it turns out if you just Google compliance manager, this picture comes up. So just kidding, not really. Maybe, I don't know. But even with the right experts in the right places, there's still so much to manage, both physically and virtually. You know, physically as it relates to your building and security and setup and access, right? S2K can help with the physical aspect in that our warehouse management system has rules to guide your users on where and how product may be moved and by whom. But the virtual aspect is where we really shine. This is where we can really help you manage all of these different aspects and simplify it as much as possible for you. So if we just think about customer orders alone, think about all the different ways a customer order comes to you today. The mere thought of trying to ensure all of these are compliant is really anxiety inducing. So traditionally, orders come to you via your sales reps' phone calls, right? Or your customers call into your customer service desk. Or perhaps they're still faxing orders or emailing them into you. In all of these options, you have that human intervention and that upfront line of defense against accidentally processing something that shouldn't be, right? You have that human intervention. But that's really not a realistic picture of the supply chain anymore. It's more likely that you're bringing orders in via EDI, mobile ordering apps, e-com websites, or FTP, any other type of electronic file transfer. And ideally, these methods don't have user intervention. That's what makes them efficient, right? That's why you would want them in the first place. But then that creates the gap in your first line of defense because we are eliminating that human intervention. So S2K mitigates that by monitoring every order that comes in, regardless of method. So I don't care if your sales rep puts it in, your customer puts it in on the web, they email it to you, they fax it to you, EDI brings it in. It doesn't matter. Any method in which an order comes into you is going to go through the same order checks, okay? So we put it all into the same queue, if you will, and they run through the same checking process. And of course, that includes the AR aspect as well, but for the purpose of today's discussion, it's focusing on all of these compliance type checks. So what it does is actually it's comparing the order to how your customer is set up in the system, the rules you have given to that customer, if you will, what are they allowed to buy, and how much quantities, how often, that sort of thing. A lot of that stems from their licensing. So S2K has an embedded license management system, and by keeping your license management system up to date, the order is automatically checked against the existing licensing in the system. Again, any rules you may have for that customer, or even just for you as a company, there's different levels of how we have averages and rules and overrides and things like that, all the way from your total company level down to that individual registrant level. Anything that doesn't conform to those rules is going to be flagged and possibly put on hold as well. And this also holds true for the reverse. So your POs that you're sending out to vendors and then the receipt of said POs, those things are going to go through compliance checks also. So because there are so many possible issues with a customer order or a purchase order that falls under compliance, rather than giving you reports, multiple reports for each type of potential issue, we put it all together in a dashboard. So the dashboard, again, is another queue of everything. Every compliance event that we are tracking for you is going to come into this queue. Updates immediately. Our system's real time throughout. So as soon as an event happens, it's going to be available here for you to see. So this can really be your home base as a compliance manager. Um, and you can monitor this throughout the day. You can get notifications from the system as far as emails or to-dos as well, but this is the best way to go about it. Just keep monitoring this dashboard throughout the day. Now, because compliance may be specialized in your organizations, there are user access rules around this dashboard that determine who can manage each type of issue, whether it's one or more. So as you can see on my dashboard, I can actually see all the potential issues or potential events. Okay, so that's what this section is up here. So SOMs, license issues, DSCSA or ASN receiving issues, Schedule 2 form issues if you're selling Schedule 2 product, right? Item substitutions, what is the system offering of substitutions based on some rules you have set up. DEA class schedule, so if someone tries to order something outside of their allowed scheduled product. And then we have some allocations we call max to ship in the system. And if someone tries to exceed that as well, we're going to give you a notification. Now again, my user setup allows me to have access to all those, but I have defaulted just 3. So these are the 3 main things I work on. I'm going to work on these throughout the day. I might check on the others. Perhaps I have other people responsible for managing the license issues or these other, informational type of things. But the idea is that the dashboard shows an accumulation of all of the compliance concerns in various statuses across various modules, whether it's customer orders, inventory, location, or purchasing. And it's not just a summary that we're giving you here, but each issue is linked to the transaction that generated the concern and allows us to dig further, have the information at a glance to make the decisions that we need to make to get this order off of hold, if that's the case. We want to get it off hold and into the warehouse and out the door. We're trying to eliminate those bottlenecks that occur when, if someone receives an order and it doesn't comply, right? So customer service has to pick up the phone and call compliance and say, okay, I've got this order. And then compliance has to go do their thing and remember to get back to it. And we're not shuffling paper. We're not making phone calls. It's all electronic, right? So that we can get these things reviewed, accepted, processed, canceled, whatever the case. Okay? So let's take a little bit further of a look here. So here's your status options. I can at any point in time pull up closed events as well. Okay. Now you have reporting options also, but again, this is the easiest way to come in, take a quick look at something. You can even filter on this screen and say, show me all the closed events for this particular customer that relate to SOMs, for example. Get those results and dump it to Excel right here from this button. But again, it's meant to be a working dashboard. So I'm going to say, okay, show me only open options. I did already plug in this customer number before I opened up, before I shared the screen with you, just to keep it limited to what I was seeing here on the screen, because I'm going to drill into an order here. But if you look on the left, you're going to see the type of event I'm dealing with right now. So these happen to be all SOMs events that we're looking at. They're all in open status. Hopefully you don't have this many open order issues. Here's the type. That lets me know it's a customer order as opposed to like a warehouse transfer or a purchase order. Here is the order number, the line that is causing the infraction, and then the customer or vendor's information depending. Okay, and then some additional information as well. So I'm going to grab this particular line item here. So this, if you could see this, my order number 400-678, I actually have quite a few events as it relates to this individual order. Okay, so it's giving me quite a bit of notification. So we're just going to work on this one here for a second. So I can select details and get a little bit more information. All the information I've seen on my summary dashboard here, but I can tell now the user who entered this particular order, the date and timestamp to the 100th of the second that it was created. Okay, so as everything in the system, we're logging all events and master file changes, things like that. We log user date and timestamp. And then we can also see the complete message here as well. Okay, well that's great, but that really doesn't help me out too much, right? So I need some further information. I can simply double click on this event, and it's going to take me, because this is a SOMS issue, it's going to take me to drug history analysis. I'm going to see the reason I'm on hold over here, what triggered the alert to begin with. So for whatever reason, and I'm not going to get into how we set up SOMS on this particular call today, but for whatever reason, the SOMS threshold for this registrant item combination is 0. Now, looking at it, I'm going to say it's because they haven't ordered since March of 18, right? So I can pretty much assume the reason my system is expecting them to really order nothing of this type of product, it's because they haven't in a couple of years. Okay, so I have ordered 1,000. So we went from expecting an average of none to 1,000. So this clearly has exceeded the SOM threshold, and that's why we have flagged it and put it on hold. But I will be able to see their whole history here for this item. Okay, and if I want to make some further changes, or if I want to take a look at the order, maybe I want to say, you know what, I do know they bought it. They haven't bought it in a while. We just brought them back. That's great. We got their business back. I can actually go right into update order. And that message, by the way, was just letting me know that this order is on hold for pharmaceutical hold reasons. We saw that we have quite a few going on with this particular one. That's okay. And I'm going to look at the detail line. So here we are, line 1. Here's the item that's causing me a problem. Here's the order of 1,000. Now, maybe I'm going to say, listen, you're not getting 1,000, okay? I will go ahead and give you 250, right? We can do that. We can change the quantity here. Or I can give them 1 for that matter, right? Alternatively, I can also cancel the whole line and say, no, you can have the rest of your order if there was any, right? You can have the rest of it, but you're not getting this item. So I can make these changes right here on the fly. Now I'm just going to go ahead and just give them 1. What did I do? Hold on. I'm just going to go ahead and give them 1. And now again, there's other settings in the system that are flagging this particular order. That's okay for the purpose of this one issue that we're talking about. I'm just going to ignore that. I'm going to hit end order. I don't need to reprice it. That's an option. And what I want to show you is you have the ability to enter notes at the order level. So I can say changed order from 1,000 to 1. By the way, we already have a log that we changed, that it was Gina that came in at this date and time and changed the quantity from 1,000 to 1. So we already know that. But just to make it easy for our users to see in the future, I'm going to go ahead and just enter a note if I want to. Change order due to SOMS, right? Great. It's user date and time stamped. I can't change it. It's always in there. It's going to be tied to this order going forward. And then when I'm done, I would end the order. Now, if this was the only issue this particular order had, that's great. I could actually release it from hold and it goes about its business and finishes up the process. In this particular example, as you can see, I have multiple hold concerns. So I'm going to not be able to release the order yet because, again, we are individually checking for all of these concerns, and we don't want you to fix one of them and accidentally release the order, not having addressed the others. And in this particular case, this item is flagged as a controlled substance in my system, and so there were some other concerns I needed to address. But I also want to show you have the ability and will use this note section. Okay. So this note is at the compliance event level. So the note that I just entered is always going to be on the order and viewable by anyone with access to order notes, right? But this is an event level note, so this will always be viewable by anyone with access to this. So whether you use one or both is up to you. Certainly we recommend using this for auditing purposes. Okay. I could say changed quantity to 1 and released, right? When I do that again, user date and timestamp down to the 100th of the second, that will always be there. This history is now there and done, okay? And then again, if I had, only one event, I would close and release this. It's letting me know this is not going to release the order from hold, but I am going to go ahead and close this event. Now that event disappeared from my list, and we would find it now under the closed option on the status page. Okay. So again, we can say, just show me one, just show me one type of event. If I'm responsible only for license issues, I don't need to be bogged down by all this other stuff. Maybe I could fill in for others, however, so I have the ability to look at and help out, but my default will only be to show me license events, and that's fine, okay, as an example. And again, when we talk about things like item substitution and someone trying to order a class schedule that they're not authorized to, especially these items, when you're bringing in electronic orders, you're not seeing these things happen. So it's important that you get notified of them. And this is what allows us to make it so you can still process things efficiently and electronically and with as little hand-holding and touching as possible, but yet not miss anything, okay, and still be notified. And still, if it's a serious compliance issue, as you saw, the order will go on hold. So we're not going to let anything go through. All right. I hope that you are able to take advantage of the automated checks and balances in the system and process orders, because we want it to be as easy as possible for customers to give you their orders, give you their money, you be able to ship those things out and keep the supply chain flowing, especially as compliance continues to grow. It's not going to go away. It's not going to get smaller. Your responsibilities for that are only going to get bigger. So we really hope that this helps out. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us anytime. You can find our contact information online. You can also view other demos, download brochures, any other content that you might find helpful. Please visit www.vai.net and take a look, and we hope to see you next time. Thanks so much.